Hi, welcome to this channel on magnetic energy, principles, technology, applications. This video is about magnetic energy and black holes. So let's just talk about the solar system for a second. So high speed, you could call it magnetic light or etheric energy or magnetic energy, but it's very high speed, comes to our solar system, and it's interdimensional at that point. It arrives at Jupiter. Yeah, that's shocking. But so from a magnetic energy perspective, the energy gets distributed from Jupiter throughout our solar system. And so from that perspective, you could say Jupiter is essentially, it could be considered the center, the magnetic center of our solar system. And where that distribution comes in, it's like a step-down transformer in that sense. And that's very loosely, a very loose comparison. And there's plenty of people at NASA and other top secret agencies around the world that are very aware of this information. So the energy is distributed there throughout the system. And then at a very high rate, what this energy does is it sustains our existence. So it'll come into what we could call our dimension, even though that's probably not the best word to use, but we've got to use something just for explanatory purposes. So the energy could come into our dimension at like a subatomic level, very quickly performing its tasks. It's being guided by resonant polarities, subatomic resonant polarities that are embedded within the energy. So it does its function and then it leaves. This is happening so fast that it's, as far as like our senses are concerned, it's something that we wouldn't really even be aware of on a daily basis, even though it's happening all around us and even in us at all times. And without the proper equipment or without like a significantly elevated level of consciousness, we don't really perceive that energy, that movement of energy. Maybe some people do if they're very sensitive to energy flow and they can sense something happening. But that energy comes in at that subatomic level and does its job, helps maintain structural integrity, molecular structure integrity, and a host of things that it does to help maintain our existence. And then it moves on. And that is all done through a system of attract. So enter the infamous black hole phenomenon. It really shouldn't be called a black hole, but that is definitely a much sexier name for science fiction and Hollywood and all kinds of things. What it really is it's like a return channel that essentially brings that energy back to the source of that energy. So black holes are they're magnetic vortices, magnetic energy vortices. They have a lot of power and a lot of attract power. And so they help create the attract system that works throughout our universe. And they have absolutely nothing to do with dead stars from the magnetic energy model point of view. Black holes have nothing to do with dead stars. They are not stars that have collapsed and died and et cetera, et cetera. So what they are is they are systems of energy that essentially if you want to compare them to something like in our scientific and engineering world at this point, they're kind of like step up transformers. So they have a very high pulsation rate on the output of that energy. They have a wide field spread, so they'll interdimensionally attract magnetic energy to them, and then they essentially will re-neutralize that energy, make it turn into essentially cleaning that energy and making it very high vibration, a very high vibratory energetic path that then goes in back to the source of that energy. So they help complete the system of energy circulation throughout the universe, throughout this type of universe that we're used to. So these can be yes, they can be at the center of galaxies, they can be in a variety of locations. It depends on where that demand is needed, or where how that's been orchestrated or set up by higher dimensional templates. But that draw, what they do is they essentially balance out the system and serve as an energetic return. And so there's a similar process to that takes place in really around every solar system. They have similar parts of the solar system that might be the final vortex of that solar system as the energy leaves. But you've got to think about, in terms of the magnetic energy and the etheric, how that's drawing on the ether and the energy flows in what we're used to, like in our existence. We are getting a definitely a stepped down version of that energy, in the sense that the pulsation is slower. It's takes on, there's a lot of micro polarities involved in the energy as we experience it, like let's say inside of our solar system. But before it gets to us, it's a super high vibration, and it's essentially like magnetic light, like magnetic energy, magnetic light, in the sense that it's very pure, very neutral, moves at an extraordinary high speed and incredible volume. And then it kind of gets stepped down to do all these different tasks and all these different duties, and then goes back into the system, and ultimately through what we would call a black hole, to then go to return and then proceed on with its tasks. So yes, that is, it's black holes. I mean, I guess we just got to stick with that name. They do serve a very important function in the whole process of energy circulation, because they help create the demand or the attract power that gives all the energy, that movement through, like let's say for example, our solar system or through our galaxy. So it gives everything from gravity to all the different processes that keep structures alive, that keep them going, that keep them held together. All of that has to be based on a very fast system of moving, very fast moving energy system that's all based on attract, and then ultimately returns to source. And so with that, I hope that helps from an magnetic energy perspective to kind of put black holes into this whole model and where they stand and what their purpose is. And they are obviously very, very powerful energy fields. They will attract certain objects into them, of course they will, because of the pulse rates, that the strength of the field that they have is going to attract in anything that has similar type of energy to it. But there will be certain parts of light or certain other energies that they don't necessarily attract, and in many cases they may emit certain types of energy. So this is an interdimensional vortex that has a lot of different qualities to it, including counter-rotating things, counter and energy spikes, and in the middle, the strong neutral field. Typically when you have a vortex, especially of that strength, but really it's any vortex, as you get to the center of that, you get to that sweet spot of pure neutral energy, and that vortex opens interdimensional gates, and that does that even here. And it opens an interdimensional process where the energy can flow freely cross-dimensionally without having any restriction membrane, like dimensional membrane restrictions or anything. And so with that, we will see you next time.